Misogyny is defined as the dislike of, contempt for, or ingrained prejudice against women. When you first hear the word, you think of an outward and aggressive hatred towards women, but ingrained prejudice, what does that mean? Well, prejudice is the preconceived opinion or judgment that you have of somebody. When I first walked onto the stage, you might have noticed that I was Asian and thought, oh, then she must be smart. Or you might have noticed that I was a girl and immediately relinquished the idea that my talk could be about sports or cars. Before I even spoke, you might have created an idea of who you think I am. Embedded means that these ideas are so ingrained in us that most of the times we don't even know it's there. But these ideas can shape the way we talk. They can take the form of microaggressions, which are small actions or comments that are subtly prejudiced and can discriminate against someone, but are oftentimes unconscious. So when I say words like misogyny and sexism, you might think of things like catcalls or unequal pay. But misogyny can also take much smaller forms, embedding itself in everyday conversations and eroding a girl's feelings of self-confidence and self-love from a young age. While I can pinpoint many instances of when I've personally faced these microaggressions, the most prominent ones that I still face today are because of my music taste. In 2013, when I was 12 years old, I discovered K-pop. K-pop is pop music in Korean. Growing up, I listened to mostly Tamil music because my parents immigrated from South India, and that's the language that we speak. And as I became a teenager, I realized that I really didn't like American music or the messages that they conveyed. So when a friend of mine introduced me to a Korean girl group named 21, a group of 4 women who made empowering music, I fell in love. Delving deeper into K-pop, I found male groups that I liked, such as EXO and SHINee. Dazzled by the choreography and the music, I wanted to share what I loved with the people around me, but was met with scoffs, weird looks, and people questioning as to why I liked those Asian men. Knowing that my interests were a bit unusual, I kept it to myself. Although by at this point I had stopped listening to American music almost altogether, I never spoke about it, because I was ashamed of it. So whenever somebody would ask me, what music do you listen to? I would just say whatever was on the radio and hope they didn't prod further because I didn't know what was on the radio. But as I grew older and K-pop became a much larger part of my life, I couldn't hide it anymore. As I was beginning high school, I found a group named BTS. And throughout my high school years, whenever times were rough, their lyrics of self-love and motivation were always there for me. Unlike when I first discovered K-pop, the music had started to become a bit more mainstream, with artists like BTS breaking into the Western market. However, whenever I would try to show people the music that I liked, I was met again with laughs and demeaning comments like, oh, you still like them? I thought that was just a phase, or you just like them because of their looks. It hurt when people didn't believe that I genuinely connected with the music, but rather insisted that I only liked the artist's physical appearances. The artists that I listened to made beautiful music with such meaningful lyrics, but society had labeled both them and their fan bases as lesser than because their fans were mostly teenage girls or fangirls. I thought that I was the only one feeling invalidated, and that it was just because the music I listened to was in a different language. Until one day when I was sitting in my school's weekly diversity club meeting and I brought up how I felt. I talked about how the years of feeling like what I was passionate about wasn't valid or something to be proud of took a toll on my feelings of self-confidence and self-worth. And to my surprise, the girls around me instantly related and started sharing their own stories of feeling invalidated. One girl shared a story about how her mother refused to buy her One Direction tickets because she thought it was a waste of time, even though the girl loved the music and the band so much. And it wasn't just music. People were ashamed of the books that they read or the clothes that they wore. And this is when I realized that it wasn't just me. I wasn't the only one feeling this way, and that this was a much larger issue. And then it hit me. The microaggressions that we faced were a form of misogyny. Although it was subtle, it happened so much that it slowly eroded away at our confidence until we questioned ourselves and stopped being passionate about what we liked altogether. Death by 1,000 paper cuts. Our culture devalues femininity. Things that are deemed feminine are often looked down upon. When I was in 4th grade, I was 9 years old, and I went to a really small school. There were 10 kids in my grade, and I was the only girl. In order to fit in, I relinquished all things girly and started to act like a tomboy. I didn't wear makeup, didn't wear dresses, didn't paint my nails, and I was instantly praised for not being like other girls. And that made me happy. I strived not to be like other girls. When I grew older, people started to use the term basic. Basic is the teen slang for girls that wear Uggs and leggings and shop at stores like Forever 21 or Pink. They paint their nails, go to Starbucks, and are notoriously hated on for just doing what they like. Basic is used to insult girls doing seemingly normal things. It devalues what they're passionate about and makes them feel less passionate about it. I refused to drink pumpkin spice lattes because I didn't want to be called basic. Misogyny is so deeply embedded in our society that most of the times we don't even know that it's there. I'm going to share a riddle with you. A father and his son are in a car accident. The father dies on impact and the son is rushed to the hospital. At the hospital, the surgeon looks at the son and says, "I can't operate on this boy. This boy's my son. How can this be?" The surgeon is the boy's mother. See, when I first heard this riddle, I thought that a person in a high-paying job like a surgeon had to be a man, and I formed my answer around that. But when I heard the real answer, I began to question why I had this belief. I began constantly checking myself when I looked down upon women or things that were feminine. It was through constant effort and self-reflection that I was able to figure out the internalized misogyny that I had and work towards overcoming it. I now surround myself with people who support what I'm passionate about. Rather than push myself up by bringing other women down, I now work to empower the women around me. I now carefully think about what I say, and I urge you to do as well, because I realize that misogyny can be embedded in the most trivial of things, and it can make an impact in the long run. I now know that if a girl wants to wear heels and makeup, that's okay. If a girl wants to be sporty and go outside, that's also okay. And if a girl wants to listen to music in a language she doesn't understand and is a fangirl, that's also okay. What's not okay is making fun of a girl for doing the things she likes or being who she is. Thank you.